approaches to connect with the database. One is the direct access and another is the disconnected access. In the direct access, whenever we want to access any data, the connection, we have to establish the connection, we have to perform the task. Until that time, for that particular time, the connection remains open. And whenever our job is over, we can simply close the connection. In case of disconnected approach, we get the data in dataset object and then close the connection. Then whatever manipulation we want to do, that we do on the object. We don't do it on the live data. And once the object is updated, then we can push the changes back to the database. So with that fundamental uh, understanding, we saw one example of direct data access. So in the direct data access, you have different classes. First is the SQL connection class, through which you have to connect to the database by supplying the connection string. Then SQL command class, in which you have to write the query. And then to read the data, there is a SQL data reader class. There is a SQL data reader class. Okay. So today we will see a few more examples. Okay, so we saw this example in the last lecture. So by this time, I hope that all of you have verified in your machine that you have proper local DB installed and you are able to create basic database. If you have not done that, then do it. In next lab, you will be asked to do the applications which are based on the database. So I have created two tables, department and students. I have inserted this sample data. Then the first job was to get all the department names in the drop down list. Get all the department names in the drop down list. So for that, we have written this code. So up to this slide, we had already discussed in the last lecture. So see the sequence: SQL connection, then connection string, then SQL command, then writing the query, and then execute reader method. Once it is done, then you have to read the result one by one. The result is read in one by one manner, row by row it is obtained. So for that we are putting the read statement inside while loop so that it reads one by one record. And then for each record we want department name column. So in this is the syntax to get this value. And our second task is whatever department user is selected from here. Let's say here I have selected C. So after submitting, I will get the number of faculty members which are present in CE department from this table. Okay. So my query will be select faculty number from this department table where department name equal to whatever user has selected from the drop down list. So for that task, this is the code. Okay. So you can see the command text parameter. The query is select faculty number from department where department name equal to drop down list one dot selected item dot text. So whatever item I have selected, that will be uh, inserted in the query statement, and the query will be executed. Okay. Okay. Now my other task is to display the student information. So where is the student information? Student information is in this table, right? Student table. So I want to display this table as it is. Right? I want to display this table as it is. So for doing this, you don't need to write a code, or you don't need to design in a specific manner that all these columns and rows will be visible. there is one ready-made control. It is called grid view. So this is the example of grid view. So you can see that in the grid view, we can display the entire table. We can display the entire table. Now, how to display the student table in grid view? So this is the code. So try to understand this code yourself. Meanwhile, there is a question. If we specify DB connection code into page load method, then also we need to write into any other function in that page. So no, if you write it in page load, then you have to use that object in any other method. You have to use that object in any other method. But what is the disadvantage of doing it? As you know, page load executes every time when any postback happens. So even when there is a button click, the page load will execute. So that is why we have already discussed in the previous lecture that the better way to write connection string is web.config file, not the page load method. Okay. So even this is also wrong. Okay. Whatever I have written, it should not be like that, because you can see that every time I am writing the same piece of code, which is of course bad design. Anyway, so you can see here my command is very simple: select star from student. My command is very simple: select star from student, and then whatever reader object I have got after executing execute reader method, whatever reader object I have got, what I will do, I will give it to the gridview.data source property. I'll give it to gridview.data source property. So what will happen? Grid view will be bound with that reader object, and whatever reader object has read, in this case, whatever it has read select star from student. So it has read all the records from student table. So that will be bound to the grid view. And then to actually bind the data, we have to call gridview.dataBind method. You have to call gridview.dataBind method. So if you execute this, your output will be like this. Okay. So you can see that it displays the entire table as it is. Okay. It displays the table as it is. So instead of select star from faculty from student, you can write any query. Let's say select star from student where semester equal to 5. Whatever result you get, it will be displayed in the grid view. Okay. So this is the use of grid view. And we will see more about grid view later on when we learn data controls. So grid view also comes with inbuilt functionalities like inline editing, inline updation. So all these functionalities we'll explore. But before that, we should see about other operations such as insert, update, and delete. So we have already seen how to get the values from database. So we have already seen query. But what about other statements? Let's say we want to insert something to the database, we want to update some record, or we want to even delete a record. So to perform these CRUD operations, you need to create a command object as you are doing it in your previous examples. You need to create a command object. Now, instead of execute reader, while reading, you are giving which command? Execute reader. Instead of execute reader, here you have to write execute non-query method. Here you have to write execute non-query method. So this method will return number of rows that have been affected. So suppose you have inserted 500 records. Suppose you have written 500 insert statements, so it will give you 500. Or suppose if you perform an update, that update semester equal to 5, where student name is this. So then it will give you that how many records are actually changed. Okay. Because you don't want to see any output here, because you are doing insert, update, or delete. Okay. So this is the example. Okay, this is the example of insert. This is the example of insert. So see what I am doing. I am creating a connection and command object. Okay. Connection and command object. Now, where is my query? My query or my statement is in insert SQL parameter. Okay. So I am giving some insert command. Okay. What insert command I am doing, that I will tell you in the next slide. But first I am opening the connection. So I am simply using try catch. I think you are already aware about what is the purpose of try catch. So I am opening the connection. I am executing the method command.execute non-query. So it will return the number of rows that are affected. It will give me the number of rows that are affected. So I am printing that this many records are inserted. Okay, this many records are inserted. Now, what is the insert statement? So assume that I have a form. Okay, assume that I have a registration form. So for name, password, city, semester, I have one input field, text box or drop down list. So how I need to form my insert statement? Insert into table values, then all the column names, and then their values. But their values will come from the controls. Their values will come from the controls. So this is one example of how I am forming this query. See, insert into authors table, then the column names, then the values keyword, and then all the values which I have to get from the text boxes. All the txt's are nothing but the text boxes. Okay. And as per the SQL syntax, I am enclosing each parameter in the single quotation. Okay. So this is just forming the SQL query. You can do it yourself as per your application. Now, it is advisable that don't write the SQL statements like this. Don't write the statements like this. Instead, use the concepts of parameterized command. Use the concepts of parameterized command. So what is parameterized command? So a parameterized command is one that replaces hard-coded values with the placeholders. The placeholders are then added separately. Okay. So see the example. So suppose my query is select star from customers where customer ID is equal to something. It will become select star from customer where customer ID equal to @customer ID. Now, what is this @customer ID? It is called parameter. It is called parameter or it is called placeholder. Okay. Now, after writing this statement, I have to map this I have to map this @customer ID with this value, right? With this value, I have to map it. Very simple, right? So why you would like to do it? Because users may accidentally enter the characters that will affect your SQL statements, or users might deliberately enter characters that will affect your SQL statement, and there may be some security level issues if SQL injection kind of thing happens. That is not good for the security of your database and the application. So that is why you are advised to always use the parameterized commands in your query. So the previous example, this query, I have replaced it with the parameterized command syntax. So see that. So you can see the first three lines are same. Insert into authors, uh, the names of the column, and then instead of the actual values, I am writing the parameters, right? @AUID, @AUFName, etc. Okay. So later on, once this query is completed, once this statement is completed, I have to map this parameters with the actual values. So I have to tell that this @author ID is what? Actually, it is the value of textbox ID dot text, or author first name is the value from textbox first name dot text, etc. Okay. So for that, for mapping, I am using command dot parameters dot add. I'm writing command dot parameters dot add. Then the first argument, command dot parameters dot add, the first argument is the uh, parameter name, and the second argument is the text box ID or the value that you want to take. Okay. So always in your insert, update, and delete statements, write your statements in this format instead of normal queries. Okay. Now the next statement is update statement. Okay. So in the update statement, what I'm writing, everything will remain same, only statement will change. So I'm writing update SQL is equal to update authors set, author first name is equal to author first name, last name is equal to last name, and all values where the last statement where author ID is equal to author ID original. Okay. That means whatever ID I am giving for the updation, it will try to find a record with that ID, and then it will update the values as per the values which I have supplied in the arguments. Okay. And delete statement is delete from authors where author ID is equal to @author ID. So simply in this delete page, you are uh, providing one ID, and once you execute this statement, then the author record with that particular ID will be deleted. It will be deleted. So this is direct database connection approach. Insert, update, delete, and already select statement you have seen, right? So in your lab, you will be asked to write an application which performs this CRUD operation. So typically, you are supposed to design a registration page where you write all the values. When you press register, all the values should be pushed to the database. That will be insert. And then you create another pages, one for update. So in the update page, you can ask user to enter any ID. So if I enter ID number 5, then first the record for ID number 5 will be retrieved, and then I will perform some update. And when I press update, it will be updated. Similarly, I should be able to delete some record from the table. So you can try this application in your lab, or whenever you are trying to practice these applications. This is using direct database approach. The next approach is disconnected data access. So as per our logic, in the disconnected database access is preferred when you need to do something that is time consuming. You want to navigate backward and forward through your data while you are processing it. In that case, it is not possible with the data reader object, which goes only in the forward direction. So the data reader object always goes into forward direction. So if you want to navigate backwards also, and if you are doing some complex task with your data, it will take time, then you are supposed to use the data set or disconnected database approach. Other application is you want to navigate from one table to other table using the data set. You can do it, right? Because you can create multiple data sets. In each data set, you store the one table. In each data set, you store the one table, and then you can navigate between different tables. Okay, so these are some of the advantages of disconnected approach. So, I mean, you may be wondering that what exactly which approach we are supposed to use. So see, nowadays there are frameworks available which do not require you to write queries or use these approaches directly. So there are ORM frameworks available like Entity Framework in ASP.NET that we are going to learn later on. So in that Entity Framework, what you are supposed to do, you will treat each table like a class. Okay. And each column and each row, you will be able to perform the operations on the database just like you are performing the operations on your class. Okay. So you have to simply call the methods like insert, update, delete. You are not supposed to write actual queries. But internally, ASP.NET will translate your call into the equivalent query that is either done using this direct approach or disconnected approach. Okay. So next is updation using data set. So what you do in the data set or in the disconnected approach is fill a data set in the normal way. So fill your data set in the normal way, then modify one or more records that is offline. Modification is offline. Once you have filled your data set, then your database connection is closed. But still you get a copy of your data in the memory. So you can modify one or more records, you can do some manipulation, then apply your update by using data adapter object. Okay, by using data adapter object. So since we are dealing with this disconnected approach, now the class names will also change. So instead of data reader, you have data adapter. Okay. So you can see this architecture. Uh, there is an underlying database. Then obviously there is a connection. Then the connection is made via adapter object. You can see that the connection is made via adapter object, and adapter object has various commands like select command, insert command, update command, and delete command. Okay? So it has various commands with it. Then the data is retrieved in data set object. The data is retrieved in data set object. So a data set contains tables, rows, columns, constraints, relations, etc. Right? So you can see that you don't only get the data here. You don't get only data, you get all the informations like constraints and relations and etc. So all these things are stored in the data set object. Okay? All these things are stored in the data set object. So what is data adapter? A data adapter is used to transfer the data between database and data set. So remember that database is the actual data that is there on your server, and data set is the copy of data that you have stored in your memory. It is the copy of the data that you have stored in the memory. So what is data set? It is used to store the data retrieved from the database by data adapter object and make it available for .NET application. To fill any data set, to get the values inside the data set, you have a fill method. You have fill method that is to be called with data adapter class. Okay? That is to be called with data adapter class. So data adapter dot fill will fill the data set that you are providing as an argument to the fill method. We'll see the example. So see this example. Okay. We start with writing a select command. So what is that? Select author name, author last name, author first name, and author ID from authors. Okay. Then just like normal approach, we create a connection object, we create a database connection object, we create a database command object, and then These two are the new things. We create an instance of SQL data adapter object. We create an instance of SQL data adapter object, and then in the constructor we pass which object? Command object. In the constructor we pass the command object. That means this adapter will work on this particular command. This adapter will work on this particular command, which is nothing but select statement. Okay. The next thing is we are creating a data set. The next thing is we are creating a data set. Okay. Now connection dot open. Connection dot open. Now what is the next statement? Adapter dot fill. We have just seen in the last slide, right? To fill the data into data set, to fill the data into data set, we need to call fill method. Okay? We need to call fill method of data adapter class. So adapter dot fill, what is this first argument? It is the name of the data set. It is the name of the data set. And the second argument is the name that you are giving to this data set. Okay. Just like a name which we will use to identify this particular data set. Okay. So your data set is filled. Now let's say you want to access this particular data set. Okay. So this is the code. So first see, so understand that a data set can contain many tables. One data set can contain many tables. Okay. So suppose you can also write another statement adapter.fill dspubs and then other name, other table. In my case, this is the author table, so I am giving the name as authors. Okay. So these authors will be treated like one table in the data set. These authors will be treated like one table in your data set. So to access this, what I am writing for each data row in dspubs.tables authors.rows. Okay. So you can see that now my syntax has changed just like normal object. So I'm treating data set as normal object, and inside dspubs data set I have authors table, and inside that authors table I have many rows. So I'm iterating over each row. I'm iterating over each row, and then what is this for inside the for each loop? Basically I am adding it in the list box. I have one list box, and for each row, so for each row, what are the columns that are included? The columns which are included are author last name and author first name. Right? Author last name and author first name, these two columns are there. So I'm combining their values, appending it, and then adding it into the list box. So this is how you are supposed to read the values from the data set object. This is how you are supposed to read the values from the data set object. Now this we will skip this part as it is not of more use nowadays. But you should know basic operations in case of direct and disconnected approach. So next, I will show you few things practically. So let's say this is my application. I already have database that I think this is the same database which we created in the last lecture. Let's see if it has some tables. Okay, so it already has some data. Now let's see how to do the GUI based configuration, so that we should not write extra code in our application. So this is my web form, right? Web form 1. Now I'm going to the toolbox. I'm going to toolbox, and in that I'm going to data section. Okay, I'm going to data section. Okay, now see the control SQL data source control, right? There is a control SQL data source control. So I'll drag and drop this control on the page SQL data source control, right? So this will act as a source to some other controls. It will act as a source to some other controls. This will not have any output on the screen. You will not get any output for this particular data source control, but it will act as a source for some other controls. Okay. So first, let's configure this data source. So click on configure data source. Now it is asking me to select the connection. So I already have this connection with me, right? I already have this connection with me. So you, if you check this connection string, you will get the connection string also here. Okay. So this is also the way to get the connection string. Okay. Click next. Now it is asking me that do you want to store the connection string to your application configuration file? That is my web.config file, which is the ideal practice. So I can say yes, because it is a good thing. Later on, it will be helpful to me. So it is automatically doing it for me. So I will say yes. Next, it is asking me to select the data which I want to configure with this data source. So remember what we are doing. We are configuring a data source. We are configuring a data source which will act as a source to other controls in future. Okay. So let's say I want to select all records right now. So I'm keeping this. First, I have to select the table name. Okay. First, I have to select the table name. So my table name is student, and I don't have any other tables. So my table name is student, and I want to select star. So you can see here the query is also form. Okay. Select star from students. You can also do some other advanced level operations like where, order by, but right now we are not doing it. So click next. You can press the test query to see the result. So you can also visualize that what will be the result of my query. Press finish, and now this data source is configured. Now if I check my web.config file, if I check the web.config file, you can see that it has added this connection string. It has added this connection string to my web.config file. So always this is a good way. This is a good way to add the connection string to your web.config file. Okay. All right. Now my source is set. So what I want to do now, I want to display this. I want to display this to the grid view. Let's say I want to display this data to the grid view. So what I will do, I'll put one grid view. So from toolbox, select grid view. Okay, this is my grid view. And you can see it is asking that what is the data source for your grid view. So what is the data source for my grid view? The one that I just configured. The one that I just configured. The name of that data source is what? SQL data source 1. Okay. So I will select it from here. So SQL data source 1, I will select, and it will take that data source, and now if I run the code, I should see the table, I should see the output. Oh, this page is not there. Okay, so you can see that this grid view will show. So you have not written any code here in this entire application. We have not written even a single line of code. Okay, but still we are able to see this output on the screen. So you can explore this back end of this code, back end of this control. So if you go to source view, you can see the source. It is a ASP SQL data source control, where the connection string is bound first. Some connection string is there, and then there is a select command, right? Then there is a select command, select star from student. Okay, and then the grid view is configured like this. So grid view is will all these default properties are there, but there is one more property. There is data source ID. Data source ID is equal to SQL data source 1. So whatever configuration we have done in SQL's data source 1, that will be bound with the grid view. Okay. Now, okay. Now, grid view also provides inline editing. Grid view also provides inline editing. So if I see here, enable paging, sorting, and selection, but I don't have any editing option. Why? Because my data source has only which statement? See this SQL data source, it has only one statement. Which statement? Select statement. For addition, for editing, I also require update statement. Okay. So how to do that? How to generate that? So what you have to do while configuring, so again open the configuration of your data source. Again open the configuration of your data source, click next, and here click advanced. Okay. Before you proceed to the last step, you have to select advanced. In the advanced, there is an option that generate, insert, update, and delete statements also. Generate, insert, update, and delete statement. So I'll check that, click OK, and then finish. So now if I go to source view, you can see that I have this insert command. Okay, insert command is there, select command is there, update command is there, and also I have this delete command, right? Delete parameters. So if I again check my, sorry, if I again check my grid view, I have the option of inline editing and deletion. Okay. So click editing and deleting, right? So now you can see that I can edit and I can also delete. So let's say I want to edit the name of this student one, right? The name of this student one, I'm updating the name. Then here I have to click update. So it is updated, right? If I want to delete student two, so I'll delete student two, it is deleted. Okay. So remember that you are not writing any code for doing this. These things are happened internally. So that is the uh, power of this SQL data source and the grid view control. Again, grid view is very rich in terms of functionalities because we don't want to spend time on this .NET framework. We are not going in detail. Otherwise, you have so many things. Even you can design your own grid view template, uh, and you can also enable paging, sorting, all these things. Okay, there is a question: is it also reflected in database? So let's run this code again. Okay, and even we can see the database. It has not refreshed actually. We need to close the connection. Okay, and obviously it will reflect in the database. Otherwise, we are not, you know, doing only client side thing. We are This is actually reflected in the database, and that is why there are commands here in the SQL data source. There are commands, right? Everything is happening via commands only. Delete from students where ID is ID. That. But internally, what it is doing, whenever you select any record, it will get that ID and put it in this command, and the command will be executed in backend. Right? So you can explore grid view yourself. It is a very rich control. Now, let's say let's explore one more control, that is details view. So I am putting one details view on the page. Okay. And for details view also, the same thing is required. You need to configure the data source. So I'm configuring SQL data source 1. And if I run, oh, I think I placed it in the wrong page. Yeah. So here I am putting a details view. Right. This is the details view. Right. So you can see only first record here because it is a details view, and I can enable paging, right? I can enable paging. So once I enable the paging, I can navigate to other record also. So this is record number 2, right? So you can navigate like this. So what is the use of details view? Design wise, you should understand that when we want to display anything in table, remember that when you want to display anything in table, try to show only few details. Suppose I have a student detail like student name, address, phone number, email ID, CPI. So in the table, preferably only show student name and ID and maybe email ID. But when that particular student is selected, when that particular student is selected, his details will be shown in the details view. His details will be shown in the details view. Okay. So what I am saying is here I have only two columns. So if I change the schema, it will take more time. So let's say, okay, let's put one SQL data source control which shows only IDs, right? Which shows only student IDs. Okay, I want to see only ID of the student. Okay. So it will, the output will be like this, right? Okay. So this is the output, right? Now, let's enable selection over here. Let's enable selection over here. Enable selection, right? Enable selection. So what will happen when you enable the selection like this, right? But what we want to do when I press this select, now my task is understand what I want to do. When I select something, when I select a record with ID 1 or ID 3, all the details about that record should be visible in details view control. All the details should be visible in details view control. So what I am doing, I am putting one more SQL data source. I am putting one more SQL data source and I am configuring it with the same table. What will be my queries? What? Select star where my ID is equal to control, and which control? Grid view control. That means I want to select the table where my ID is equal to the ID which I select from the grid view. The ID which I select from the grid view. Okay. You can explore it in lab. Click add from here and click OK and click finish. Right. Now I'll put the details view. Now I'll put the details view and bind the details view with second SQL data source, which has a where query, where kind of query. Okay. So bind this details view with second SQL data source. Okay. Now let's see what happens here. Okay, so nothing here because I haven't selected anything. Now if I select this, okay. If I select this, I get this, right? Still for doing this, we have not written any code. Okay, we have not written any code. So maybe the last part I did it little fast, but you should understand the concept. There are two SQL data sources. One SQL data source is for grid view. Second SQL data source is for details view. And the second SQL data source is configured using where query, where the ID value is taken from some control. Okay. Similarly, you can take the values from query string. You can take the values from some control. So all these things will be covered in the lab. You will be given exercises and try to do it this exercise yourself. If you have any doubts, you can let me know. Okay, so we'll stop here. We are done with most of the database related exercises. We will start about the topic on securities from the next week.